Hey guys, Abner, Miranda here. Welcome out to the range on a very cold day. I wanted to do, honestly, it's probably going to end up being a bit of a lengthy video. We're going to head up into the hills and work the overland course, which has lately has become my favorite. Man, it's cold out here. It is a frigid day, and I'm actually wearing 3 layers right now, which is really nice. This is the last layer so that I'm kind of practicing camouflage. But when you're working your urban carry, you know, your appendix carry, that's one thing. I'm out here working on the tactical side of things, where it's overland, it's extended carry of the weapon. And I wanted to show you guys a couple of variations of things you can consider for, how can I put this? Because I've done so much training over the years, I would suit up in the morning at the hotel, and I would usually wear a very large, bulky cover garment. Oh, crap, that's cold. I'd wear a large, bulky cover garment. I really, frankly, didn't care if people, you know, were like, "Oh, wow, that dude's got some kind of bulk underneath that stuff." I just didn't want to have to put everything on. I didn't want to have to dress one way at the hotel and then dress another way at the range. So I put all my tactical gear on, minus the chest rig, of course. And I had either a shoot me first vest on, or you know, a lightweight jacket, and I'd get out to the vehicle. But I wanted to show you guys that there is a way to scale up. If you're not running armor, if your focus is light infantry, which is what mine is. For years I wore armor as a police officer. Daily wore concealable armor, and then had supplementary hard armor, you know, if something broke bad. And honestly, armor steals your mobility. And yeah, armor stops bullets, but so does cover. So does terrain that you're hiding behind. But what I find is that, what I have found is that when I wear armor, even expensive lightweight polymer plates, that my mobility is taken from me, because the moment of inertia of your body in rotation, and also of your body just in motion, is dramatically increased. The moment of inertia is increased, and when you rotate, you find yourself having to overcompensate because of the extra armor, ammo, whatnot that you're wearing above the waist. So that's what I wanted to show you guys really quick. You guys have seen this before. This is the SNSR, and for those that have asked in the past, the SNSR, yes, when it was being sold, was coined as the shoot and scoot rig. I named it that. The reason I named it that is because I had originally named it the sympathetic nervous system rig, and what that was about was that I was going to a lot of training, and I was seeing guys, and I was seeing guys running drills where they were running themselves completely empty on everything. They had a war belt on, and when the instructor would say, "Consolidate ammo," the guy would start looking for a bunch of holes to stuff things into, and the problem was, at that point, he had so many holes on his belt that he didn't even know where to begin. Because by that point, he had depleted so much stuff that he was finding himself having to go eyes off of what he was doing downrange to see where, to try to see where he was putting things. So what I did was, I designed this. Bravo Concealment built it for me, and this actually is one of the very first ever SNSRs that were ever made. In fact, back in the day, they used to sign their name, and I can't really make out that signature anymore, but Rene, one of your guys, made this for me, did a beautiful job, and I've been running it now for like a decade. I mean, it's just this great rig. So, Rene is the owner of Bravo Concealment, by the way. So what I did was, I did this, and it solved the problem, because chest rigger armor, and once I depleted one in the rifle, one on the belt, and I was told consolidate, it was basically, I'd stay on the gun, chest rig would be open, I'd pull one out, and I'd slide it down to the belt, and I was done. Because I'd consolidated 1 to 1, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it actually made me far more efficient. It meant that I had to carry a slightly smaller load, but it made me more efficient because I was carrying it intelligently. So for those times where I didn't want to have a chest rig on, because there are some places where you go to train that it is so flipping hot that you'll get heat fatigue if you insulate your upper torso. This is our air conditioning system, guys. We vent off a lot of heat from here, from here, from here, from our back, from the top of our head. And if we insulate our upper torso, we're gonna get in trouble quickly. I've actually seen it. I've experienced it myself. I've seen it on the range. I've had to care for guys on the range. I watch them. I make sure that you know, they don't get the shakes. I carry Gatorade for people. So, of course, when it's cold like this, you don't have to worry that much about it. But so anyways, what I wanted to show you was the SNSR, which would go here. And then I also asked Bravo Concealment to make me 2 other rigs, and these had a name, SNS Light. And all these was rifle handgun, and of course, no light. And the idea was this one would go here, and then these 2 would go here and here on the side. And let me tell you what, I've worn them, bruh, it is all kinds of happy. It is all kinds of happy wearing these, because you can see they have a very slight slight bend to them, and they're really comfortable to wear. And remember, 30, 60, 90, right? 100 and what is it? 30, 60, 90, 120 in the rifle. And if you're not wearing a chest rig, look, you're carrying 120 rounds. I mean, if you can't get it done in 120 rounds, you suck. Or you're shooting at a Terminator, you may want to run. So that's the first thing. And look, no, you can't get these anymore. No, you can't get this anymore. Whoop-de-doo, guys. Mag carrier for handgun. Mag carrier for rifle. Light carrier for your light. Or, what is it? A Ranger band. This is bicycle inner tube. You can move it around to the front. Move your knife over a little bit. You could put the light up front. I've got my knife here. You could put the light up front. I've got this is the Utsurihi, I think is what it is from RMJ Tactical. You can move stuff around and make things work for you. But anyways, that's one loadout. The other loadout obviously is just the chest rig or plate carrier, and then one side load, because we always tend to load faster from here than we do from here. So that's something to think about. Okay, it is cold, the wind is blowing, and I gotta get moving. Here, let me show you a great range hack. When you're putting your light on your pistol, make sure that it's turned out so that it's off. Obviously make sure your gun's unloaded. And this one's made of aluminum. The clamps are made of aluminum on this APL. What I do is I take a 223 casing and I crimp it down with a pair of pliers, and it creates what I call a field expedient screwdriver. And the reason this is a thing is the brass, if it goes up against the copper or the metal of the gun, the steel of the gun, it doesn't harm anything because it's brass, it's very soft. Instead of using a steel screwdriver and I skip off the screw and I gouge the aluminum clamp, I do it this way, and it also has a good turn because the radius of the casing is nice and fat, so it allows you to have, like, once again, what I say, a field expedient screwdriver, and it gives you just enough purchase at the end to rotate it to get that good little twist, and then you're good. It's so cold out here, it's actually killing the battery. That's hilarious. All right, let's get going, because I'm cold and I gotta get moving. Alrighty then, holster first. When you're putting on your holster, you know, I was actually going to call this video something else, but I think I'm going to have to call this video suiting up for training or something like that. When you're putting your holster on, you always want to ensure that there's a belt loop right behind the holster for support, because your belt isn't the only thing that's doing the support of the holster. The belt loops also keep it in place. That's why when you're a cop, you have belt keepers, because the belt keepers actually take your outer belt, your duty belt, and attach it to your underbelt. Alright, up next is the SNSR. Also, it needs to have at least one belt loop behind it, and the position of this is crucial. I'll show you what I'm talking about. One of the other reasons that I designed this rig was so that when I'm working with it and I want to drive and move it forward so that I can sit back. As soon as I get out of the vehicle, the rig goes back, because then it's easy to conceal with a concealing garment. There was actually, I can tell you this now, there's actually a unit in Boston, an undercover unit in Boston that had contacted me and asked me if we could design a rig for them, for their undercover guys, because they'd gotten in some stuff. Well, actually, yeah, it's already passed, so I guess I can tell you. The whole thing with the Tsarnaev brothers, they'd gotten into that, and they said by the time that they found those guys, some of the guys on their unit were actually physically out of ammo. And because they were always running around in like blue jeans and t-shirts and really low key, they found themselves in a position where they didn't have ammo. So what Bravo Concealment and I did was we made a version of this called the SNS UCR Urban Carry Rig, and it was 2 mags and a light, and it was just like the SNSR. It was angled so that it went right up against the body really tight, and it created a rig that allowed them to carry extra ammo and kind of hide in plain sight. So it was a really cool rig. When Bravo, a lot of you are asking, well, why aren't they made anymore? Well, because when Bravo went to vacuum forming their stuff with the CNC plates, they went away from a lot of the products that weren't selling, and that's one of the products that just wasn't selling. I'm cool with that. I mean, I'm not gonna, it's not my business, it's their business, so I'm not gonna lambaste them for it. Those guys have stood by me, and I'm gonna stand by them. And I know some of you are like, yeah, but they don't make left-handed stuff. Yeah, I know, I'm a lefty. But it's about the principle. It's about the principle. It's about who Bravo Concealment is, and how they run the company and how respectful they are of the customer base. So that's why I stand with them. Okay, that. Pistol's up. I already saw the extractor out. I'm gonna have to load that up. Okay, once you've got this layer on, then, oh, wait a minute. I always put this on. I've got a video on this, but I'll give you the short answer. I always carry a military triangle. Well, I guess I better show you. This is a military triangle bandage. And if you're a Boy Scout, you know what this is. And I always carry one of these right on my belt. You can make a tourniquet out of this. You can use this as wound packing in case you or someone else plugs you. You can use it as just general bandage material. You can also make a sling for your arm. All right, so once the chest rig is on, this is the Seeker 612 from First Spear. Sorry, they don't make them anymore, but if you can find one, buy it. All right, once this is on, my rifle, which is down here, I pick up and I'm ready to go. But I can always take this layer off and I still have support gear for the sidearm and the rifle. That's why I like this type of setup. And this stays on me, and just like with the SNSR, the handgun can also move around somewhat for driving, for carrying purposes. And this setup is sucked up tight against the body. And that makes a difference, because if you're wearing stuff that is adhered to you, there's less motion in rotation, and also when you go prone, when you get back up again, when you're moving through environments like trees and brush, there's less to get hung up on things. Same with my backpack, which is a very small, my backpack is a small Black Hawk Hydra Storm that I've had for about a decade now. Great backpack. And the layers, in fact, the layers are as you see them. It's chest rig, backpack, and then rifle. And then eye pro and then ear pro, and then you're ready to roll. think I've said this before, but if I haven't, I'll say it again. If you have to get out of your backpack for any reason to get to something inside of it, like for example, I carry a bottle of water back there because the hydration system, after a decade of solid, just flawless use, I left it in the vehicle and it froze. The valve froze and it caused just enough expansion to completely ruin the valve. So after a solid decade of service, I had to throw it in the trash can. It sucks. Oh well. And this thing is so old, today's hydration systems have a much larger opening. This has a small opening, so oh well. But I still like the backpack because it's a very trim backpack. But to get into it, to get my bottle of water, I don't want to have to take my rifle off and put it down because, man, I'm asking for trouble. You put a rifle down in the woods and you walk a few steps away from it, this is not exactly easy to find in the woods. So what I do is I get out of the sling with one arm, undo the chest clasp on the backpack, and now the backpack comes completely off. I can get into it, do what I got to do, get back into the backpack. And this is key, under the sling, and under the sling here, and then back in the sling, because you have to be able to go cleanly in and out of your sling if you need to do anything. All right, yeah, I think that's it. I'm ready to get up in the woods and get to it. And I'm gonna go ahead and break this up into two. And I think if you want to watch that video, look up the 1776 report. That's what I'm gonna be doing up here in the woods. But anyways, I wanted to show you guys the loadout for getting up and getting out and training for extended periods of time. This type of loadout, especially with the water in the back, it does a nice job of evening the load between rifle and chest rig. I've got a full load on the chest with 3 mags, a little bit of medical, 2 pistol bags, extra batteries, flashlights, tourniquet, decompression needle. By the way, don't be the guy who carries the decompression needle and then has never had any professional training on actually how to do decompression. If you don't know what you're doing, stop carrying that needle, because you can really cause some major damage if you've not been trained on it. And of course, if you are trained on it and you are using it, it doesn't mean, how can I put this? If I'm using this, it means that society has gone in the trash can and this is a life and death situation. And while I'm not licensed to do this because I'm not a paramedic, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a whatever, if your life is in danger, well, duh, of course I'm going to do it. I'm going to use the needle to save your life. But from a legal standpoint, I don't have any legality to be doing it in a, you know, when the lights are on and there's warm food on the table and society is all kinds of wonderful. So anyways, but yeah, I'm going to get up in the woods and start training. If you want to see that portion, look up the video, the 1776 report. As always, I thank you guys for your sling purchases. I really need to be adding that because you guys are keeping the lights on and food on the table in the Miranda household, and I thank you for that. I thank you for your sling purchases, and as always, I thank you for watching this video. Get those guns out and practice. Have a good one.